CrossFit Games. Every year, a new fight, a new chase, a new climb. But everyone with a singular mission: to find and crown the fittest on earth.
I go to the gym every single day. I treat my craft as a profession. I dedicate my life to this, and I do not want to be classed as a joke because of the time and the energy that I put into this. I would argue the fact that I am just as professional, if not more, than another athlete that is going to a sport that has been around for hundreds of years.
For the last few years, the top of the podium at the CrossFit Games has been summited by just two athletes. For the women, Tia Claire Toomey has earned the title of fittest on earth each of the last 4 years. And on the men's side, Matt Fraser has been the only man standing at the end of every one of the last 5 climbs, a feat many claim to have earned him the title of fittest man in history. After winning in 2020, Matt Fraser sent shockwaves through the sport. He was done competing. One champion departs, and the other prepares for her next ascent. At the base of this year's mountain, questions abound. Who will fill Matt's shoes? Can anyone finally catch Tia? Is the next generation ready? Or will the veterans of the sport hold them back for one more season? Coming into 2021, the only thing for certain was that it was someone else's turn to make the climb.
CrossFit Games, and this is the type of test that we are used to seeing kick things off at the game.
This is a classic way to kick off the CrossFit Games. We're getting outside the box, we're getting in the water, and we have a new implement with that kayak as the paddle portion of this starting event.
Event 1, we're gonna go long. We're gonna get wet. We're gonna do something that a lot of people haven't done. We've got a long swim, and then we've got a kayak all the way across the lake. So something that very few people are gonna be truly comfortable with. Grab a pair of fins. There's different sizes. You can take your time getting a size that feels good.
3, 5, 7, 9, 11. Work your way from left to right.
Not that one. Have you done much swimming in fins?
I've done it like once in a pool, but not really.
The kayak is funny, everybody's done it, and I don't think anybody's raced, right? Every time I kayak is like active recovery with my girlfriend or whoever, and I'm just going for a little tootle, like I'm not actually paddling hard. So I don't think people really knew what to expect on that, and 3 miles is a long way.
Leading into the CrossFit Games, you just think like, okay, I've been working so hard, but I know all these other athletes have been working just as hard. So you're kind of just scared of like that fear of not knowing what's going to happen leading into that first event. It's going to set the tempo for the rest of the weekend.
And with that, the 2021 Noble CrossFit Games are underway.
The challenge here is that it's a mass start of both the men and the women, and typically we've had a run-in. So we've always had some separation to start the event. Now that we have nearly 80 athletes all starting at the same time, it's going to be mass chaos in the beginning.
The first quarter of the race was really strange. I've never felt that disoriented in a swim before. I just felt like everyone's speed was oscillating like a tremendous amount. I'd kind of like sight, I'd take a few strokes, I'd sight again, and then everyone was in a different position, and I was going in different positions, and people were going at different speeds, because with fins you can just like crank up the RPM.
Someone swam over me like 4 or 5 times during that event, just like literally over me.
So I thought I'd stay out of a fight in the water and not get pummeled around in a pack, and then try to make a lot of moves on the kayak once it got time to paddle. And I just wasn't able to do it.
Now we're going into a 3-mile kayak, but it's still going to be about a 40 to 50-minute bout. But it's going to come down to a lot of technique. Efficiency with this movement is going to be huge over the next 3 miles.
I didn't come out of the swim first. I came out fourth, and so I had to make up ground. And I tell you what, it was very hard to make up ground in a kayak.
I feel like I got on the paddle and I kind of had one gear. I could either work really hard and move slow, or I could work less hard and move slow. So it was quite frustrating. There were some dark times in that boat in the middle of the water.
I was like giving a max effort, and we were just kind of cruising along in this like slow motion, like turtle dove on a lake pace.
Jonakowski, if you didn't know any better, you would just think he was out for a leisurely paddle by himself on Lake Monona. There is no one within sight of him right now.
From the outset, on the men's side, it was Jonakowski's event to lose.
Jonakowski is out of the water. 100 points for Jonakowski.
I was in the kayak, and we're kayaking across the lake, and you see this beautiful horizon of Madison City, and just realizing, wow, look at where I am right now. I am doing what I love, and with the most beautiful view. It was just so special, and it was like, we're here, and we're ready to put on a show.
And Tia Toomey starts her quest for her 5th straight championship with her 25th career event win at the CrossFit Games. Matt Vellner, one of the heavy favorites to win the CrossFit Games, has a history of digging himself an early hole, and it looks like he is doing it again here in the opening event, and there he is, still on the kayak.
Wow.
Once I've backed myself into a corner, then I feel like there's nowhere to go but up. Fortunately, I've made it a habit to take a bad dive on the first event and then make it real exciting for everybody for the next 10, 11, 12 events.
I just couldn't get any speed. I was like drifting a lot to the left, and my left side. I breathe on my right when I'm swimming like that, so my left side really blew up on the paddle, and then I just tried a few different things, and I just couldn't get fast. Felt like I was just like, I could maintain my speed fine, but I just couldn't get any extra speed. So.
Was she yelling at you on the kayak?
Yeah, she's fucking drafting off me again. Good job. I'll take half her points. They didn't say we weren't allowed to. It was good. Yeah, it wasn't like a lung burner at all or anything like that. Good job, Dylan. It was just more so just focusing on staying engaged, you know.
What do you guys think? It was great. It was a good start. I think athletes sometimes don't realize how quickly time compresses. Like we get out here and everybody's just taking their time, and with a mass event like that, controlling 80 athletes who all have their own needs can be a challenge. So, but we got there. We got them in the water, and we started right on time. So always good to get that first event out of the way on time every time. Yeah, it was good.
I think to describe putting on the CrossFit Games as a Herculean effort would be an understatement. I have never been part of an event that logistically involves so many moving parts, from planning the events to getting the equipment certain places, to making sure the athletes are where they need to be, to making sure they have the equipment they need, that they're dressed the right way, that the judges are in the right spot, that broadcast knows what to do. You have to have an army of people all over the place, all knowing exactly what they're doing in order to even have a chance of pulling this thing off.
The past few years of the CrossFit Games have been extremely tumultuous. 2018 was the last quote-unquote normal year, where we had the same system that had been in place for about a decade, with open regionals, games, and that similar flow. And then in 2019, the entire system got upended and a new system was put in place, and the path to the games was much less linear. All of that was cut short in 2020 by the pandemic.
The 2020 games were massively affected by COVID. There was one point where we thought it just wasn't possible. We took the top 5 men and the top 5 women. They all came to the ranch in Aromas, and we had a final there, which was really, really strictly monitored. We had lots and lots of testing. I mean, this was right in the middle of the early days of the pandemic. No spectators, limited staff, limited media. It was pretty locked down.
So finally in 2021, we went back to the most normal thing that we had seen since 2018. We knew we were going to have the games, we knew we were going to be in Madison, but there was still that specter of COVID that was hanging over the whole thing that could derail this at any minute.
We are here waiting for our athletes, Danielle and Carrie. They're going to come and test. We just want to make sure that they continue to test negative because there has been a potential exposure.
We get notified that Bethany Shadburn has tested positive for COVID and that she is likely out of the competition. Now, the challenge that created, beyond the obvious of having to tell her that she cannot compete this year, is that she's been in close contact with several other prominent athletes in the female division. So Carrie Pierce and Danielle Brandon, her training partners, have been around her and are now at risk of exposure. So the microscope is focused on them at that point.
Good morning. So we're just gonna swap both hospitals. She said you're gonna wait for 10 minutes, all right?
Carrie tested positive.
Yes, her first test is positive. The protocol is to do a retest, so we'll give her that. So we have to do a retest.
We got to do a retest on you.
Okay.
All right, so can you follow me?
Did Danielle test positive?
No, Danielle is negative.
But Carrie tested positive?
Carrie's tested positive. We're going to do a retest and see if she tests positive again.
What happened?
Carrie tested positive, but she's retaking it.
Okay. They are both positive. So you're out, and I'm so sorry about that. So now you have to leave campus, and you're not allowed to come back.
So unfortunately, Bethany's out. Unfortunately, Carrie's out. We're down to one of the 3 women that have trained together all season long. We're really worried that Danielle's been exposed and will ultimately test positive. So she is under a really strict protocol. She's getting tested regularly. She has a liaison from the medical team attached to her. She has to keep her distance from the other athletes.
If you're just joining us, Bethany Shadburn tested positive for COVID earlier in the week before competition started. She was forced to withdraw, and then this morning, Carrie Pierce also testing positive as well. So she is out of the competition. Both of those women with podium aspirations here at the CrossFit Games, and just so unfortunate for them that they were not able to compete.
In event 2, we moved over to the North Park, switched things up completely, had some odd object work and some gymnastics. And for Tia, it really highlights the breadth of fitness that she has as the reigning fittest woman on earth, and really the fittest woman in history.
Yes, I believe it's my responsibility to keep raising the bar. If I'm not raising it, then who will? You know, I don't mean that in any disrespect to any other athlete, because we all are out there just trying to raise the bar. We don't know what those limitations are.
Start with that sled drag, 300 pounds on the sled for the men.
That's a heavy sled drag, and the question is, what is this going to do to the athletes? Well, it's all about the legs, the hamstrings, and the glutes, which is everything you need going into this pig flip.
The pig is an implement that has never been seen before besides the CrossFit Games, and they were bringing it back. And we got to warm up with it, and we only got 3 flips. So we got to walk out there, test 3 flips, and then it was like, well, see what happens.
It's like flipping a refrigerator end over end if your refrigerator is 6 feet 10 inches long and weighs 510 pounds.
Pat Vellner, who once again needs to work his way out of a gigantic hole.
Now the good news for Vellner is that he did it in event number 1, so he has plenty of time left.
Whenever I have events that I feel like line up really nice for me, I get extra nervous because it's just an execution thing. It's not an ability problem, it's not a fitness problem. It's like if you don't succeed, it's because you made a mistake.
Laura Horvath. Horvath in the bottom right of your screen, just leaving everyone behind her right now, and it looks like she will be the first woman to that 350-pound pig for 5 flips.
I like those things because I'm a bigger athlete and it's like I can move mass or like objects easily, but it wasn't really about the peak or the sled. I think it was only like a muscle up workout. There were like 42 muscle ups.
I went aggressive and did the first 12 ring muscle ups unbroken to get ahead of the pack a little bit, and then tried to just sort of hold everybody at arm's length for the rest of the workout.
Not only is he great at muscle ups, but he has one of the best deadlifts in the field of men. So this is a good bounce back event for Vellner to really capitalize on his strengths and his skill. Tia Toomey went 12 in a row, most we've seen any athlete do on the men's and women's side so far.
Toomey approaching the finish line, and another 100 points for Tia Toomey. And Pat Vellner is going to go from worst to first. 100 points for Pat Vellner. Let the comeback begin.
For the one, the only, Tia Claire Toomey.
Woo! I heard the first heat scores and I thought it was pretty attainable, and I don't know, I thought muscle-ups were harder than I thought they were going to be. It's classic, like the high straps and stuff. I was able to get out a little bit early, pay attention to what people were doing, and hope that nobody had a really late push.
How was that?
That was good.
Yeah?
Yeah, just all muscle ups. Yeah, like the peak wasn't heavy at all. It was like, I wish it was like heavier, so it showed that I slowed like some athletes down a little more, like smaller athletes, but it wasn't hard. The hardest part was the muscle ups. To like make like reasonably good, like big sets, not like 3s and 2s.
And what was it like being back on the floor?
It's amazing. Fuck, it's amazing. I was really freaking nervous.
I know.
Yeah. Like, I've been so nervous because I also don't know what to expect and the preparation and everything, but I don't also want to pull myself down by constantly saying I haven't had proper preparation, because then I'm also undermining or under-talking myself, and that's also not, you can't do that when you're here. You just gotta fucking go and believe that you can. It's so much your head. So it's been a mind game for me.
Of all the things that I think the athletes accomplished this year, Annie Thorstadter being able to perform at the level that she did throughout the entirety of the season so shortly after giving birth to her daughter, I think is one of the most, if not the most impressive things that I saw all season long.
The doctor told me I would never be as strong as I was before. That's bullshit. I've gotten stronger than I was, because the goal isn't always just to flatline or be where you were previously. It's to progress and become better and better and better. And it's the same with this. I'm gonna make it better than it was before.
2021 has been a really cool year because we've seen this sort of changing of the guard, where some of the athletes that we have been used to seeing compete, some of the veteran athletes are moving on, they're getting out of the sport, and then we see this up and coming generation, these kids who have been doing CrossFit since they've been in elementary school. But then in the midst of all this, you have the constant that is Annie Thorstadter.
Currently in second place from Iceland, Annie
Thorstadter.
She's the only woman that's ever competed in 3 different decades at the CrossFit Games.
Annie Thorisdottir is the original queen of CrossFit. She showed up as a teenager to the Games in Aromas in 2009 and won over the hearts of the entire community, struggling in the final event to get her very first muscle up. And then over the next decade, we watched her grow into this front runner in terms of being the first 2-time champion in the women's division, winning back-to-back titles in 2011 and 2012.
She hit the sport at the right time. It was developing along with her, and she, in turn, developed it. And there's plenty of people out there that owe their inspiration to seeing Annie and saying, I want to do that. She really is one of the most important figures in the women's division of CrossFit.
Fast forward to 2021, she's taken a year off to grow her family and have her first child.
Yeah, I got a camera on.
The good thing about after training picking her up, she feels so much lighter. Because this little lady is closing in on 12 kilos. Yeah, we're big and strong.
I had an incredible pregnancy, had a baby girl, I had a pretty bad birth, and struggled quite a bit after my birth. I was in labor for 3 days. I was in push phase for over 3 hours. Ended up in the surgical clinic, just ready for like an emergency C-section, full NAMI in my body, and there were like 7 people holding me down while I was trying to push that little baby out. I tore really badly and lost insane amount of blood. I don't think I've ever in my entire life been as happy as when I got Freya in my arms. It's like impossible to explain that feeling. And then it's so strange that you can drop so far down a couple of days or 3 days later and you feel like you're supposed to be so happy. And I know other women struggle with even like significantly more difficult postpartum depression. But there's nothing wrong with the way that we feel. We're not in control of it, but we can change it by sharing and talking about it. Then we can work our way out of it. I wasn't even thinking about potentially competing at any point there. It was just, I needed to gain myself again and start feeling like myself again. And I did not start quickly. I started about 6 weeks in with very easy training, and I gradually increased it. And even 3 months after birth, I still remember I could not walk downhill with the stroller because of pressure down on my pelvic floor. Like, it took me a very long time to build up that strength. Every single year, my motivation is different. And this year, I did it so much for myself and for my daughter. And that was like a newfound motivation. And for all moms out there, to be honest, to gain control of my body, control of my mind again, and being able to do me again.
So day one, we've got this event at the lake. Everybody's taken out of their comfort zone, or at least most athletes are. Get into the North Park. We've got some grunt work with event 2. Fast forward a little bit more, and we're at event 3, which is just a pedal to the metal, straight shot sprint. 550 yards from the back of the Coliseum, around the bend, and into the stadium at the North Park across the finish.
I remember sitting in the starting line, and I don't remember who was next to me, but I'm just getting elbowed. Like, we're trying to see whose arm can get in front of each other's, and I'm just getting pushed to the back. And 3, 2, 1, go. I just got an elbow to the chest and just pushed directly to the back of the pack. And I was just like, oh no.
I was extremely nervous for this event. I have a track background, so it's one of the events that I felt was going to be very good for me, but I almost feel like events that I know that I'm going to excel in, I get more nervous for because I'm like, okay, you're going to be good at this, like don't mess it up.
I knew that Brooke was going to be putting up a really solid time, so she actually ended up going out in the heat just before me.
Look at the lead Wells has put on Davidsdottir, and Davidsdottir has a decent lead on the rest of the field behind her.
Guima Harros right now, who is out front ahead of both Will Morad and Pat Vellner.
Tal, não sei o quê, minha perna tremendo, de adrenalina, de nervoso. E aí quando eu vi, eu puxei a frente, eu falei, caraca, eu tô muito rápido e os caras estão devagar.
Guima Harros is faster than any of us knew. Was running tight with him, and then I gave him an aggressive corner move on that last corner, and frankly, I cut him off pretty bad. But I didn't feel that bad about it.
E aí ficou eu e o Vellner. Eu falei, não vou perder pra você não, mas nem ferrando. E aí na curvinha ele me fechou, eu desequilibrei, mas eu falei, não, agora você despertou o monstro dentro de mim. E aí eu falei, não vou perder não. E aí deu sprint e consegui ganhar.
Basically pulled out right next to me and hit the afterburns and just roasted me. So I was like,
Brooke Wells makes the turn into the North Park all by herself.
Wells desperately needs a top 3 finish in this event.
I realize that I'm in front, but I don't know like by how much. I'm kind of just like, oh my gosh, like, did I mess this up? Like, I'm way too far ahead.
And Brooke Wells is gonna do it. 1:24.43 seconds. That's the time to beat.
Not running with her and being able to pace her, that was challenging.
Tia Toomey looking for her 3rd straight event win.
So you had to make sure you're staying in your lane, didn't get caught up in anyone else, and you're able to execute that right.
And Toomey may have done it. We're gonna have to go to the Jim Adams' second.
I mean, Tia got me by a couple milliseconds, and I'm still a little butthurt that we didn't get to do that in the same heat. That would have been a good battle.
I'd say that was pretty good. It hurts a lot now. But that's the stuff I love to do.
I think that it was my first event win at the CrossFit Games. Let's see. Yeah, teenager 2. So this is my 3rd. I'm glad that went well. With money.
I kind of gave him a dick move cut off at the gate near the end. And then he just, once he got his feet on the turf, he just took off. So our heat was pretty epic. So it was good. That kind of event has the potential to be a disaster because it's so tight. So I'm really happy with how it went.
What's it like finally competing here at the stadium?
Dude, it's so awesome. I mean, like I said before, dude, it's Wednesday and it's already packed. So I'm just so fired up for the week, the whole week, pretty much, man. And we got hopefully another event tonight that's gonna get pretty fun. So Dave said he's excited about it. So I'm just so fired up and happy to be here that it's just nice to be in it now. Now it's just kind of focus, dial in, take it workout by workout, and next thing you know, we'll have 15 done.
Justin Medeiros. I think he represents the young, upcoming, new blood of the sport. I'm really excited to see what some of the younger guys, we got this superstar from Brazil coming out of the wings. It'll be really cool to see how Guy does.
Guima Harros is an athlete that we've been watching for a while. One of those kids that came up through the teenage competition. It's very clear he had a ton of talent. It's a little hard to make the transition from competing against teenagers to competing against grown men, but I think this was finally the year that Guy showed that he's ready to make that leap to the next level and not only show up but also be extremely competitive.
You've also got this development in the women's field where you're starting to get these younger athletes inject the new generation into the sport. Haley Adams kind of paved the way for that.
We've known this has been coming for a while. We've seen these talented teenagers start competing when they're 13, 14, and now we finally get to see them compete with the best in the world. And the question was, how are they going to be able to hang with some of the best in the world. Like, what was that moment going to be like for them? And Emma Carey and Mal O'Brien absolutely proved, even before they got to the games, that they had the talent to compete with, you know, the top women in the sport. Justin Medeiros is a really talented young athlete who exploded onto the scene in 2019 when he won the Filthy 150 to qualify for the CrossFit Games.
He's been involved for a little while, probably longer than most people realize.
Yeah, I started CrossFit in 2012, and I did it to train for the sports that I was doing. I was doing wrestling and football at the time, and I just used CrossFit to train for those sports to be a better athlete. And as time goes on and I went into college, I quit all my other sports and I decided to focus just on CrossFit. I was going to wrestle at Boise State, and then they canceled the wrestling program my freshman year. So I was kind of full-time CrossFit, and that first year, my freshman year of college, wasn't really sure what I was doing. I've always done sport, and I didn't really view CrossFit as a sport, because if you want to do it as a sport, you got to be at the CrossFit Games, and I just was nowhere near that level.
Hand is up on Medeiros in lane 7 with the red trunks.
In 2018, he made his regionals debut. And, he didn't make a big splash in that competition, but he was there and he was in the mix.
I started reaching out. I had a different coach at the time. I was trying to surround myself with someone that I felt like could help me get there. And Adam was that guy. I'm gonna hop on the phone call, my first phone call with him. I was like, hey, I'm in college for the next 3 years. I don't know if I'll have this opportunity again to try to make the CrossFit Games, and I want to devote everything I have for the next 3 years to make that happen. And he bought all in with it.
You guys know the plan. 1, 3, get them done. By the time you get into 6, you should be in that rhythm where every rep is the same every time, right? You ready to crush it?
Heck yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's get it.
Adam Neiffer is one of the most underrated coaches in the CrossFit world, in my opinion.
Let's go, Justin. Attack. This is your round right here. This is the round you got to attack. Good.
How did it feel in Aromas last year to see him up on that podium?
It felt right. In a lot of ways, it was really cool to see him on the podium because it was proof to him that he belongs. He's been involved in our sport for a really long time, and he's been a fan of all the athletes that he was competing with, right? And so, in some ways, even though he is confident and he's like, yeah, I know that I can hold my own out there, he's competing alongside of his childhood idols. So there is this question of, do I really belong? And I haven't done it yet, so where am I actually at? And so his trip to the podium was like, yep, now Justin knows what many of us close to him have known for a while. You belong, you're capable of that, and we're just getting started.
Can you win the CrossFit Games?
Obviously. I don't think there's any reason why I can't win the CrossFit Games. I don't know when that's going to be, but I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think I could win.
For the first time in 2 years, the athletes return to the Coliseum at the Alliant Energy Center in Madison, Wisconsin. It's event 4.
10 down to 1 of wall walks and heavy thrusters at 135 and 185. This is just flat out long grunt work.
People that underestimate wall walks just haven't really done them. That movement is no joke, but you craft that with something else at an appropriate rep scheme, and now you got a monster of a workout.
Tia Toomey is in the next heat, and Tia Toomey is trying to stay perfect on day number 1. Already 3 event wins under her belt.
And that's 3 event wins in 3 drastically different tests. And 38 other athletes could not get between Tia Toomey and a first place finish.
A collective groan raised from the crowd. I think I was looking forward to never having to do them again.
We saw it come out in the op-ed and everyone was like, wall walks. I think a lot of games athletes have never really done them since their first time being at CrossFit.
It was super hard and it was so warm in there and so sweaty that I had a towel and my hands were still sliding all over the place.
Mal O'Brien, when she heard that there were going to be wall walks, I know was really happy about this event because she did extremely well in the open.
Are you excited to see this one announced?
It's my favorite event from the Open.
Do you think you can win it?
I'm gonna go for it.
Tia Toomey once again trying to become the first person to ever win the opening 4 events at the CrossFit Games.
Now, Mal O'Brien, her goal right now is it's apparent that she's trying to go unbroken on everything and touch and go on the wall walks.
Mal O'Brien continuing to hold off Tia Toomey.
I've never actually sweated that much in a CrossFit Games workout before. Sweating didn't, affect my placing. I just had to have a moment where I was like, am I like transitioning to is this like a female thing happening right now? Like, what's going on?
Scott Panchik continuing to lead here through 46 of the 110 total repetitions. He is on his round of 8 thrusters.
Yeah, so I've had 3 knee reconstructive surgeries playing college football. I was in the middle of a workout, I was doing double unders and snatches, and there was just this like pop.
Watch what that bar does to his body as he's racking it back to the shoulders. It's shaking him to his core.
But leading up to the games, it was painful. It was challenging to train, but I knew in my heart it's the fittest I've ever been. Coming into my 10th year competing in CrossFit and knowing in my heart, I was like, I have what it takes to stand on that podium, and I have no idea if my knee's gonna hold up.
Mal O'Brien, the first woman to advance to the second wall and start her round of 5. Tia Toomey still in second place. You saw the time to beat as it's the kids who are taking over here in event 4.
For the women, we got to see the emergence of a new star. At first, it looked like maybe Tia might run away with it again and win all 4 of the first day 1 events. But Mal O'Brien, we saw her stare right in the face of the reigning women's champion and not blink.
1 to go for Scott Panchik on the wall, 1 left on the barbell.
Scott looks phenomenal.
Panchik is in. Scott Panchik wins Heat 1.
I haven't had an event win since 2012. It was really special. It was that feeling like getting in the end zone one last time.
Mal O'Brien took a look at where Tia Toomey was, and she is right back to work.
It's awesome to see how passionate she is and how driven she is, and it's really exciting for the future of the sport.
Score 1 for the youngsters. Mal O'Brien will win event 4.
Not good enough. Only 3 today. Huh? Friday.
I didn't do too well in the sprint, but you go out and hit a home run, nobody cares if you strike out.
How was that?
Good. It went really well.
How do you feel?
I'm in shock. I have no words. Oh, I was so excited. I was like, I love wall walks. I know they're kind of weird and new to CrossFit, but after the open workout, I was like, I had full confidence going into this.
Trent ain't gonna have no voice. MGK, that's her boy. He looks just like MGK. Yeah.
Said I'm dating Machine Gun Kelly. No, he just needs a few neck tattoos and then it'll
Halloween.
Yeah.
She's Megan Fox and he's MGK.
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
What's up?
What's up? How you feeling?
So good. Yeah, ready for day 2, or kind of day 2, day 3, whatever you want to call it.
Friday.
Yeah, Friday. There we go. Eggo waffles.
What's in your Yeti?
Agua this morning. Gotta stay hydrated. Nothing too special. Guess ice too, but. All right. You ready, Adam? Do it. Let's do it. Get my fancy hat.
What's it like seeing yourself on all the elevators and buildings?
Weird. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, it's definitely different. It's really cool, but it's a big change. I feel like it went like 0 to 100 really quick. Last year it was like I was a nobody, and now coming here, it's like it's really cool seeing everybody and seeing fans and people like wearing my shirt around, just like really feeling the support of the community and everything like that. It's like really awesome.
Yeah.
There was definitely a sense of coming home. I think it was also the fact that this was the first time in a long time that the CrossFit community had been able to get together en masse and sort of have our annual celebration. You know, hadn't had any live competitions for a long time, and so to be able to have that experience that had been taken away from us for a significant amount of time, I think was really special for a lot of people.
And we have 4 rounds of 4 20-foot rope climbs, followed by a 500, 400 skier between men and women, and then that 42-foot sandbag at 150 and 200, but it's a little different bag than these athletes are used to.
I really like the programming. I think it tested like everything. It wasn't like biased. Overall, a very, very good test. It tested like everything what CrossFit is all about. Like it was heavy, it was fast, it tested all the things that we trained for.
And so if you look at an event like this, also with Laura Horvath's background is that she was a rock climber. Her grip and her pulling strength is elite.
I knew like I wasn't gonna like blow up or like die in 16 rope climbs because I do a lot of rope climbs in training, so I just went for it.
Look for Laura Horvath to actually make a big move every time she comes to the rope.
If I look at things like that, I kind of have an idea of who the people are that you're also looking out for. And old Fikowski's another guy that on paper looks like a really good event for Mr. Fikowski.
All about the rope climb. 16 20-foot rope climbs that watch Brent Fikowski's technique. He won't even jump, but he wraps his feet and then he pulls his heels immediately underneath his hips.
Leading into that event, I wanted to win that event, quite frankly.
Brent Fikowski, who is on top of the overall leaderboard. He had a great day one.
Great set of movements for me, good time domain, and I just came out a little bit too slow. A couple guys had a lead on me in that first round, and then I closed that gap on most of the guys, but I couldn't close it on Pat.
Pat Vellner, who started the competition in 35th overall, has worked his way up to 5th, and right now is your leader in this second of 4 rounds.
And so coming back to the rope on the last round, I wanted to kind of get maybe a rope climb and a half in the bag before Brent got back, and then just get to the ski and I was just looking at the clock and was just counting the seconds, and I was at about 20-second lead before he got to the ski, and he's not going to ski 20 seconds faster than me for 500 meters.
Vellner to the sandbag for the final time, and Pat Vellner will pick up his second event win, and someone's climbed out of the hole.
I really wanted to win the event, and then I just went for it.
Safe to say that she is back. Laura Horvath wins event 5.
Finish here, and an event win to Laura Horvath. And next in, Katrin David's daughter with that cheddar chunk up and across the line. Katrin David's daughter will make it in.
Oh, I almost had Pat. Pat went out harder than me, and I couldn't catch him. I mean, I fumbled a few rope climbs, which maybe cost me a little bit of time, but overall it was really good, so no complaints. Good start to second day.
Need more gummy bears?
No, I have a dried mango. It's like the same thing. Pretty much the same thing. Sugar.
She just wanted gummy bears.
That's it.
Gummy bears and Chipotle.
That's my diet for the week. Chipotle and gummy bears.
But yet, she can sleep right through anything. We had 2 storms the last few days. 2 storms. I heard everything. I heard every bloody drop on the window. She wouldn't know there was a storm. Unreal.
Both fit. What do you think of this event?
Yeah, I like this event. I like this event a lot. There's not too many events that I don't like though.
That's good.
You know, if I don't like an event, it's either because I think it was too easy. Like, I feel like we did this to make it easier for other people, and it's like, that's not what it's about.
You want the hardest test possible?
Yeah. I mean, well, if we're going to preach and hold that title and keep that title at a premium, we have to, you know?
If you're going to make a claim of the fittest on earth, which is a massive claim, you have to make sure that that test is well thought out, well planned.
Dave was definitely kicking around this idea of 15 for 15, meaning it's the 15th year of the games. We're going to have 15 events that these guys are going to have to face. Just from a logistics standpoint, offering that many events is going to be a challenge. Making sure that it's not just a test of attrition, you know, it's not about who's the toughest athlete, it's about who's the fittest. Two more. So there is going to be some consideration about how can we throw this many events at people and still allow them to recover enough to really put their best foot forward. One of the core ethos of CrossFit is that you need to be prepared for everything. What you know and can expect, and what you don't know and you can't know.
Had it cutting out at 30 there, but maybe do 40. So everyone goes through 2 complete days, and then Saturday morning we're down to 30, 20, 20, 10, 10.
That's a huge part of what distinguishes our training program from other programs. It's not enough to train specifically for the test. The fittest athlete is one that can adapt and adapt quickly because their general training supports that.
Every day I'm in the gym, I am grinding and I'm pushing myself to the absolute limit so that I am ready and prepared for absolutely anything. I am at the CrossFit Games to break Dave Castro's program.
So for that reason, the CrossFit Games will always have elements that the athletes don't know about until they're almost on the competition floor. And that's true from the beginning of the CrossFit Games all the way up until the modern games that you see in 2021.
Your top 5 in the overall standings, just 15 points separating first from second. I can't remember the last time that was the case, because usually at this point Matt Fraser is running away with the whole thing.
Ask anyone, say, give me your for sure pick who the new champion on the men's side is going to be, and you can't really give a definitive answer. And we are getting an amazing competition up until this point.
Event 6 is probably one of the most memorable events I think I'll have at the CrossFit Games. I was not a leader yet in the competition, and the leaderboard was starting to shake up to see, okay, now these are the guys kind of at the top, these are the guys that I'm gonna have to beat, and it turned out to be Pat and Brent.
Saxon is now your leader in the heat, followed by Brent Fikowski, Justin Medeiros, and Pat Vellner.
You can't zone out, you can't switch off, you have to make sure you're staying engaged. And on the 4th round, Christy caught me off guard a little bit, but then Christy just zips down her lane, and I'm like, whoa, hang on, you shouldn't be there.
Now Connell, if she can get close to Toomey, should get to her bar first, although Toomey has the major strength advantage when it comes to the barbell.
The last 200-meter run, coming back into the stadium to hit the final bar, and I'm looking up at the clock, and it's like 15 seconds left as we're coming into the stadium. I'm like, oh shoot, like I don't think we're gonna have enough time to hit this bar.
And I feel like we're running quite quite fast, and I'm burning up, like my whole body is just on fire. At this pace, surely I'll have plenty of time to get to that 3:15, and I'm running in the door, and the announcer's counting down, and I'm thinking, oh crap, like I'm gonna have to run to this bar and rip it.
Now you know Aramo's going to want to push the pace, but on this last bar, you cannot make a mistake with this last clean.
I knew that I didn't need to hesitate at all. I just grabbed that bar, lift, and then sprint across the line. Don't even focus on what Chrissy's doing.
Same time as Toomey. Tia Toomey hits it. Tia Toomey, another win.
Ridiculous. She didn't even hesitate to pick up that bar.
Pat and Brent both got there before me, and I took my time getting the bar because I needed to make this lift count if I wanted to finish the workout.
I went in, man, my guts were rumbling right before that workout, and I almost shit myself on that last bar, all over the floor. So I went total mashed potatoes on the catch, and I think it was preservation of my pride.
Right as I started pulling the lift, Pat and Brent both failed it right next to me.
Both me and Pat get shot out the back, and then Justin's left looking like the hero jumping on the stage as we crumble to the wayside and part the waters for him.
Pat Felder right to work. Felder not able to make it. Panchik is in. Fikowski can't make it. Medeiros will stand it up.
Wow.
They have enough time. And Medeiros is in.
But it was the most exciting that I felt like in a CrossFit event ever, just knowing that going into that event, like those are the two guys I needed to beat, and I executed it.
We almost had a poo disaster out there. I kind of had to go poo before we corralled, and then they're really rushing us through. So I felt fine for most of it, but I came to the last bar and I was like, I think if I squeeze and catch this bar, it's all over. And I kind of just buckled under it because I think I didn't want to be sitting at the finish line with a bunch of shit in my pants or on the floor. So, go to the bathroom before you take the floor.
Man, this is amazing. Like, I can't describe with words. Like, just being there and feeling the energy is massive. The guys helped me a lot. Thank you.
Two event wins?
Yeah, 2 event wins until now. We have a couple more to win. So I'm here to win all the events, and that's it. This is my job. I'm not here to play. I'm here to compete.
I've not gone heavier than 220 since birth. I haven't dared to. So that was amazing. Now I'm like, maybe I could have gone faster. It felt pretty darn good. I'm really happy.
You got a new shirt.
Yeah, dude, I do got a new shirt. Look good?
Where'd you get it?
Dude, I don't know. Someone gave it to me, man. I'm like, I don't know. Someone's got to fight me to take this thing off. So
yeah,
it's pretty awesome, man. I mean, something that you picture every day, like thinking about the CrossFit Games and just being like a kid and seeing Matt wear it for all those years, definitely means a lot. Just definitely got to appreciate the moment that I'm here at the CrossFit Games being the best of the best and wearing the leader shirt. But dude, we're only halfway through the weekend. We have so much more to go. I mean, just as how I'm in first right now, I mean, we're only halfway through. Things have switched up so much. So just kind of stay dialed in, take it workout by workout, and stack for points.
Going into event number 8 was the first time that I got to put on the leader's jersey. I remember just them walking up and giving it to me nice and folded, set down. I had to go change into it, and I'm sitting there, and Adam's like, all right, come on, let's go on a walk.
We went for a walk and got away from all the other athletes and coaches and athlete control. And once we got by ourselves, okay, Justin, hold on, just stop for a second. He's like, what? Just hold still. Let me get your picture, right? We gotta acknowledge the moment that you just got your first leader jersey, right?
We gotta sit there, kind of had a moment, took some pictures, just celebrated a little bit.
By the way, not too many people have gotten to wear that stuff on the men's side. There's been a monopoly, with Fraser and Froning over the last decade.
I'm freaking out inside about it, but I don't want to show it, and he's just allows me to get out there, celebrate a little bit, get that out of my system, but it's all right, back to work, event number 8, let's do this.
We go from an event where we had heavy weights to no barbells, no weights in sight. We're gonna do a handstand walking course.
That was a very frustrating event. Couldn't dial it in at the right time, and I wanted to hide out there for a bit.
Now Pat Vellner and Brent Fikowski continue to struggle here. Vellner in the middle of your screen, now onto the parallel bars, and he is down. But Annie Thorstadter is quickly gaining ground. on Brooke Wells, but Thorisdottir's going to break. Wells and Adams continue to work.
And there's no shocker here that Brooke Wells is doing what she's doing in this event because she won the 2018 handstand walk course.
Overall results for event 8, Haley Adams good enough for second place in that event. Danielle Brandon picks up the second event win of her career. Brooke Wells is third. Tia Toomey, another top 5 finish for her. Judson Medeiros will not win the event, but he will take this heat. Deja vu all over again as his strategy pays off for the second straight year. And now Fikowski is over. He's not going to take a break. Fikowski gambled a couple years ago on a handstand walk in 2019, and it probably got him cut, but this one will pay off, and he is in.
It's happened to me a few times at the games in the last few years that I'll have a pretty substandard event, and then they'll announce an event, and my spirits will be lifted. And that happened again to me on Friday night.
So this is a classic CrossFit coupling. You've got a descending rep scheme so that as you start to fatigue, you know you've got a little bit less to do, so it encourages you to keep going hard.
So when that event was announced, I went back and talked to the coach, and he's like, "We got to drop the hammer." He's like, "If you want a shot at winning the games, like this is where we take them. Like this has to be a W."
Justin Medeiros right now in 11th place in the heat. Good news for Fikowski as Fikowski looks to cut into that 45-point deficit. He is not known as someone who can just put on the blinder, stomp the gas, and go. And the fact that he won that event showed to a lot of people that this was a different Brent Fikowski than we had seen in the past. And at this point, he's looking really good as far as not only a spot on the podium, but maybe winning the whole thing. Brent Fikowski with now 2 more reps to go. Class dismissed. Event win for Brent Fikowski to close out day 2. And Amanda Barnhart will take event 9. Annie Thorisdottir will come across, and it's Laura Horvath in 3rd place.
I was gonna fucking take this. Shit. I was sure I was gonna get on the last bike. I really fucking wanted it.
Great effort.
Fuck. This is my event.
Everyone was like, it's a sprint, but it's not a sprint. So I paced the first 2 bikes. And then just tried to send it on the last one. It's like all I had, I left it on the last round. But the first round was like, you're fresh, don't go too fast because then you're gonna screw up on the 15s.
Yeah, dude, like I said, I mean, wearing the leader shirts, it's really cool and all, but no one really cares, or at least I don't, how many times you wore it during the weekend. I don't care if I didn't wear it once, but if I'm top of that leaderboard at the end of the weekend, that's what matters. So just going out there and executing the best I can in every single workout, and I feel like I didn't leave anything out there on the floor, so that's a good headspace going into tomorrow. Be able to sleep good tonight and crush these last 6 workouts.
So you could feel a lot of things coming into Saturday morning. You could feel the fatigue of the athletes starting to settle in. You could see that some of them responded to that a little bit better than others. You know, some of them are really hitting their stride, while others are starting to have that gas tank emptied a little bit, and they're not quite sure how they're going to make it to the end of the competition.
How are you feeling after that full day yesterday?
Good. I mean, it was like a lot of events, but they were all pretty short, so it wasn't like super taxing.
How do you feel after yesterday? How's your body feel?
Good. Now I'm starting to get warm. I like this master body. It needs some warm up. But I feel like I feel better every day because my body needs some good warm up.
So if you could choose how many days there were at the games to compete, the longer the better for you?
Yeah. I mean, 4 days is enough, but I wouldn't mind a week either.
This is the Husafel ride.
What's happening right here?
We're just mobilizing the hip, you know, it's the minimal effort technique.
How many bowls of Chipotle are on the menu today?
I think one is gonna be enough.
Just one?
Or maybe 2. We'll see. We'll see.
What number years was it you guys have gotten to compete together?
Together?
Yeah.
Okay. 12. You were not 13. I wasn't 13. I was not 14. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21.
7 years. That's a lot of years.
That is a lot of years.
We've always been together, regardless if we're both here or not.
Yeah.
Event 10 was a couplet of toes to bar and running. Started with 30 toes to bar, run a mile and a half, 30 more toes to bar, mile and a half, 30 more toes to bar, get to the finish.
So there's been many years where CrossFit Games have incorporated cuts to the field at various stages of the finals. This year's no different. So cuts are interesting. I think it's pretty controversial. Some people love them, some people hate them.
I was really nervous about that event because I had run a lot early in the season and I ran myself into some knee tendonitis, showing my age.
My strategy is going to that one is I'm gonna run this first mile and a half like I don't have another one after it, and I sold out on that first lap, sitting in a really good position.
You could be the best runner in the world, and if you bonk on the first 1.5 miles, drop yourself 20 spots, lose 60 points, you're out.
That did not go as well as I'd hoped. You know, running, man, where do I even start with that? Just slow. Just good old-fashioned slow.
And that face says it all because he's keeping a good face in front of the crowd, but now that we're behind the bleachers, it's starting to get real. Holta, this is a great event for Holta.
Originally, I was planning on last year was going to be my last year, but then COVID happened and I just missed out on qualifying for the Stage 2 CrossFit Games, and I felt like that was not the end that I wanted.
So after competing in 2019, I got cut at the games, just on the border. I was really disappointed and irritated, and I felt like I was so much better than that. Now we're at the games, and I did not want to get cut. I wanted to try to be in final heat. I knew that was maybe too ambitious of a goal.
My mantra for this games was no regrets. So I wanted to go out in every single event knowing that I gave it my absolute best.
Breaks to the end zone. It'll be Vellar first, Henrik second. Looks like Mayer in third. BKG.
Oh, the run, Bren.
Oh, slow. I mean, that's all I could give. I was trying to go faster, just, I don't know, just gotta work harder this off season on running. I don't know. It's funny. It's frustrating. I feel like I've made progress in my running this off season, and in that event it just didn't show. So.
You make it? I think I did. They have the rankings for the event, but they don't have the points updated yet. So I got 17th in that event. So, like, I know that if I don't make the cut, that's something that will haunt me forever.
I'm out. No.
How did it go?
Didn't make it? What? Did the guys right around you get you, or? Fuck, man. I thought you were. Let's just think it's safe. Where'd you finish in that event? 19th.
I think they updated it.
Yes, I'm so happy. I never thought I would be happy to be in 17th. Like, my goal coming in was a lot higher than that. But I feel like I just won the CrossFit Games. Like, I have 5 more opportunities to fight, and that is the best feeling.
Tina, what's going through your mind?
It feels pretty empty right now, I guess.
So after we've made the cuts in the morning, we're moving back into the Coliseum again. We've got event number 11. We've got as many reps and rounds as possible, which is often shortened to AMRAP. So we've got an AMRAP of 11 minutes to do as many as you can of 1 trip up the pegboard, 7 overhead squats with a dumbbell, and then 15 double unders with a heavy rope.
I really liked that it was a lot of pegboards. Previous years it was like, okay, 3, 5, then now you could do as many basically as you could in a workout, which they added up because the runs were like so fast. So basically the overhead squat and the double under was like a rest for your biceps to climb up on the pegboard again.
Laura Horvath on the right. The last time she did a pegboard event, she beat Tia Toomey in it. And that was the final event in 2018.
That pegboard was very slippery. I think I've ever experienced the pegboard that slippery before, so I don't know if it was the humidity or not. You really had to fight for every single peg that you were doing because your feet were just gonna slip from out underneath you. And if you're slipping, your workout's done.
Mikowski has actually moved up ahead of Vellner, and what I'm watching is Justin Medeiros has already tripped up a few times on double unders.
I remember starting my first pegboard and just like was just kind of blindsided. I was not prepared for how slippery the board was going to be.
Justin Medeiros in this heat right now is in 9th. He is towards the back.
My legs were dangling. I was just using my arms, and it was one that I had to figure out like as I went.
I was nervous going into that event, and I have a pegboard at my house, and I was slipping on that thing like you wouldn't believe. The pegboard at my house, the wall is like, I don't know, maybe it's greased up or it's this really slick plastic and the pegs are loose, and it's a bit of a death trap, quite frankly. And then I got out there and I was sticking to the thing like Spider-Man.
If you fall off the pegboard and there's last round, you just gave up 5 places. There needs to be controlled aggression in a workout like that, because there's a very fine line, and if you trip over it, it's going to be rough.
Justin Medeiros will tie for 10th unofficially. That is good for 55 points. Pat Vellner will finish 5th and pick up 25 on Medeiros in the process.
It was an opportunity for him, now that we're in the back third of the competition, to push the pace and put some pressure on Justin. And so even though he wasn't going to win the event, he was able to keep Justin at arm's length, put some distance between them on the leaderboard, and gain some points to hopefully try and maybe take home that white leader jersey.
Event 12, fan favorite. We've got a 1 rep max. All the focus is on the lifters. High pressure, high stakes.
Eu não sei o que acontece, mas tipo assim, quando eu chamei a galera, parece que o meu corpo, tipo, pega toda aquela energia, transforma em músculo, transforma em força. Se eu não consigo levantar um carro, eu vou conseguir levantar um carro com aquela energia, tá ligado? E, nossa, é absurdo, é absurdo. Só tô indo lá pra saber.
My heroes, no problem at 270.
He's so strong.
I actually went into it with the mindset of trying to pull as much energy from the crowd as I could.
Very nice. Annie Thorasson are moving on.
It's crazy how much you can get from people, how you get this like extra power in your heart to get going. That felt good, that felt good.
This event came down to not only physical prowess, but mental focus. You could really see the pressure on a lot of these athletes. Some of them handled it better than others. Interesting to watch the different approaches. You had some athletes that would come out and they were just caged animals. And you had others that would come out and it was almost as if they were not really there in that environment. The level of calmness and detachment, it was really strange to watch because it was probably the most intense event as far as who's looking at you and the margin of error that you have to deal with.
Now Wells, in her last one, missed the first one out front.
Uh-oh. Nope. And Brooke Wells is going to be tended to by the medical team here.
I knew Brooke was gonna get this because I was like, yep, she can easily hit 190. She's got this in the bag. And then all of a sudden, a noise happened. And I was like, that's not okay. She didn't get it. And I look up, and then all I see is her elbow.
Absolutely one of the hardest things in that moment, because I'm right in front of her. I know Brooke, I've known her for years. There's nothing that I can do. I'm not qualified medically to help her at that point. The only thing I can do is make sure that we've got help on the way. So there's these few moments that just seem like an eternity, and I'm sure more so for her, where she's standing there with the elbow, she's asking me for help, and there's nothing I can do except wait for our medical team to respond.
I've had elbow issues since about 2016, just like overuse issues, tendinitis, things like that. And then going to the 190 bar, I just pulled it, got under it, and then honestly like kind of blacked out after that. I mean, I felt my elbow pop immediately. And so I kind of just fell to the ground, held my elbow. Medical rushed on, pulled me off. They took me to the tunnel. I'm standing in the tunnel with Sean Rocket, one of the medical guys. Thank God for him.
Thank goodness for those guys. They truly are world class, and the team of doctors that we've got there looking after these athletes is top notch. She gets taken back for treatment. We had an imaging machine available, which is great.
We get in there, he x-rays it. He does like a lidocaine shot, and then once it's numb, they were able to pop it back in place. And I'm like, so does this mean that I can compete? And the doctor's like, he literally thought that I was joking. And I'm like, no, really, like, it's back in place. Like, am I good to go? But I'm still like not okay. Like, I'm still crying. But at that point, I wasn't concerned about my elbow. Like, I just wanted to finish the games. So. But then, it was just so cool to see the support that I had.
That does not look good for Brooke Wells. They're going to escort her off the floor, and she's going to get a standing ovation. But
I looked into the crowd where my parents and where Brooke's parents were sitting. I had seen Sydney, her sister, her mum, all of her family run and go to Brooke. So I knew, okay, well, Shane's out the back. Shane's going to be able to look after her. And I don't know what's going to happen or what the future holds right now on whether or not she can continue, but I'm going to make sure that I win this for her.
Tia Toomey looking to be the 5th woman to move past 190. Good. She will make that.
I don't know, I was so happy when I hit like 190, and then I hit 195, and then when I hit 200, like, it was incredible. It's probably one of my all-time favorite moments at the CrossFit Games.
There it is, and Annie Thorsdottir has it.
Brent went before me and missed, so that was like a huge opportunity for me to come and try to get some points on him. And in a snatch, that's a huge momentum shift.
Velner has it.
Eu chamei todo mundo, boladão, tipo, contraí todo o meu corpo e pau, meti o snatch, aí tipo, foi uma sensação absurda. Nossa, foi muito louco, muito louco.
Here's his 9th lift of the night for the win.
Annie made it, Tia made it, they both missed the next one, and then they had the shootout for the finish. So right up to the end, that was kind of defying expectations.
3 squat snatches at 145 pounds to determine the winner.
She is an incredible athlete, and it was a true honor to be standing there right beside her, going up against her. And as I walk on over there, the crowd just started to get to a whole nother level. And I was like, wow, like this is electric. Like this is what it's about.
Tia Toomey wins event number 12.
Your face is huge. That was amazing.
That was so
look at
much
look at
fun.
look at that. I just
The
hope that
camera
we
is
got
not
that.
great, but
Look at this face. Look at this.
Can I see it? Okay, that's hilarious. I had no idea I looked like that.
She stands it up.
You were like,
I
stop.
should be way more like, yeah.
No, that was like,
I went to tie break. I messed up it. Right before we went to the bar though, I'm like, she's standing next to me. I'm like, she can cycle fast, but I can stand it up quickly. I worked on my bounce. I'm like, I'm gonna take this.
Good.
And then I
And then
didn't
you
have
overpulled
it. And then I was like, well, now it's over.
But he was so close. How crazy is that, Anya?
Yeah, that's pretty sick. That's pretty sick.
So we just had the snatch event, and I think it was on the 190 bar. You know, Brooke was looking super solid in all of her snatches and everything, and she popped her elbow out. I don't really know what the full extent of it is, but it removed her from the competition, which is really sad because she just doesn't deserve that. You know, no one does, and she's put in so much work this season. This was going to be her best year yet, and she just does not deserve that.
Yeah, it's always hard in an event where you have an injury. You know, thankfully we don't experience a high incidence rate at the games, and I think that if we're doing our job right, we won't. Because the goal isn't to try to see how much these athletes can take. The goal is to test the fittest. And so when something does happen like that, obviously it's hard for the spectators. I think it's really hard for the competitors because that's now in their mind. But on an internal level, you know, it really does start to bring questions into the staff about, are we doing the right things? Did we prepare enough? Did we test this enough? You know, are we providing a platform that isn't asking too much of the athletes? You know, if you really care about what you're doing and you care about the outcome, I think it's impossible to see a situation like that and not start to just question whether or not you did everything you could to prevent it.
Last day, it's been a really good games. You know, like in terms of programming, I think it was well thought out for the athletes so that they can perform at their absolute best. These things, this is the attention to detail that I give a lot of credit to Dave for.
Have you looked at the leaderboard?
Yeah, I have looked at the leaderboard.
How do you feel about that 200-point lead?
Means nothing. There's 300 points still up for grabs.
We gotta go, girl. We are extremely late.
What's the time?
7:31. Brief's at 7:30.
No, it's not. Brief's at 8.
Thank goodness.
Check-in's at 7:30, right?
Yeah, check-in's at 7:30. That's technically when you're meant to be there. So we're late.
Angel and Curtis, they go.
Okay.
Technically, she could sit out these first two events anyway.
If she wants to make it closer, yeah, that'll make my heart race a little bit. Whip should have me bloody on the screen to see what my heart rate's at.
Alright, now. Time to go to work. Alright.
Love you, Dad.
Yeah, love you, Jake.
Good luck, too. Go hard. Love you, too. Kill it.
Good morning.
Morning.
How you feeling?
Great.
What do you think about this next event?
I like it. I like it a lot.
What
It's gonna
part?
be good. Like the whole thing. We've been doing 2, 2, 3 intervals for a while, a couple, so we are prepared for this. And then it's just good. I like GHDs. Burpees are just like there to get rid of them, and then it's all about the yoke.
Something to think about. So in case I don't get to see you, you're gonna
on the curve, don't throw it all the way over. Throw it to the back half, and as you're coming, swipe it down with you, so that you can see where it's at, and it's 7 steps.
The journey that began back in February is in its final day. Number 13, something old, something new.
Tell you what, Sean, if you said I was going to have a roll in the hay this morning, this is not what I wanted to show up to see. GHD's, the Curtis back, and that heavy yoke that we haven't seen since 2018.
So first event on Sunday was a strongman kind of 2-2-2-3 interval workout. And I think we didn't really know what to expect. The yoke was pretty heavy on the turf. You sink into the ground a little bit, so it was a little harder to move.
The yoke, a familiar implement to the CrossFit Games, but this weight is not. Only 2 times in history, the athletes have had to carry a yoke that weighs over 600 pounds.
Event number 13 was one of those events I was super looking forward to. I mean, just having the sandbag, throwing it over hay bales, I mean, it's just, I feel like you're out like in the country just like throwing stuff around. So it was an event that I was super excited about. I mean, we were getting hay all over ourselves and tossing the event, but it came down just to see who could move that yoke the fastest.
You can't run with this. Toomey out front. At the bottom of your screen, Horvath is on the right of her. 15 seconds to go in this window. Horvath now pulling even with Toomey. Toomey continuing to work. She has yet to put that yoke down.
Yeah, Tia was running with that yoke on that first round, just possessed to get it to the finish line.
4 seconds to go.
Gotta get past the black.
I thought she was going to do it on the first round. Internally, I was hoping that she didn't, just because I knew that the test was supposed to be harder than that.
And I think we kind of broke the programming on that. I don't know who they had testing it, but they weren't us.
Pat Vellner continues to work. Bjorn Carl Gudmundsson is on his yoke, and Gudmundsson is going to win the event. One more for Tia Toomey. Just have to put that curd up and over.
Go, Tia! Run!
Tia Toomey sprinting to the yoke. A couple of feet left. Win number 8 for Tia Toomey. Get Annie Thorsdottir and Kristen Holta. Holta on the left. Annie Thorsdottir trying to erase that 10-point deficit, moving to third. Medeiros is catching up. Vellner is in, but Medeiros is right behind him. So Vellner will only pick up 5 points on Medeiros.
To make my life hard, obviously, so I decided to do an extra round. I just need 1 more second. I could have done it in 1. 1 more second. That's another one.
I did 1, buddy. Reset. That's an Icelandic strongman right there. Huh? I don't know what they're feeding you, but working.
I think the battle in second was still there, and then those first 2 events of Sunday, I pulled away significantly. So I knew that going into the last day, I had made up significant points on Justin on the snatch and on the pegboard workout. I think he had about an 80-point lead on me before those events, and we had chewed it down to about 40. So, you know, I figured if I could do that in 2 events, in 3 events, maybe I can steal one from him. You know who you have to beat. Like, there's no other way to look at it. If you're going to try to win, it's like that's the guy you got to steal points from all day. And boy, he didn't make it easy.
Yeah, so you have like no expenses?
And then I'm going back to Boise, and I'm moving in with my friends that just got married. Yeah, so why don't you help me out? Just bump down, stay where you are right now, and I can save some more money.
Still got 30 points on me, I think, so you're not making my life very easy.
That's the plan.
Buddy, I got a fucking baby.
Oh.
I got a baby.
Pulling that card. Man,
Have you
school.
seen him?
I'm still in
Have you
school.
seen
I'm trying to
him?
pay off. I have seen him. He's pretty cute. Takes after his mom a lot.
I'll show you some photos before the next event. Just remember, you're stealing his lunch right out of his mouth. Yeah.
Hey, well done on that last event, babe.
Thank
How
you,
was that?
babe.
Could have done it in a 1?
Dude, it was so close. I just needed one more
Could
second.
you have done it in one? Like if you could take it back?
I think I could, yeah.
100? I
think
thought like you got to the, I reckon it was that last third, you were just like sizing up where you would finish rather than like pin the ears back, let's go. Yeah. Oh, well, that was pretty cool, hey?
We start like this. So we can start, and you have to go here, like kick up, and then like you step. The rep is credited once your head goes down again. All that stuff.
Take someone with the mullet to know how to take care of it.
Yeah, I think we should just like, I think we should start practicing it. I think that's like the most useful.
Event 14 had two elements. One that is super familiar to these athletes with the deadlift, done at a pretty heavy weight for an event like this, but manageable for most of them. And then we had a new element that was on the other end of the spectrum. Really high skill, something that most of them probably had not trained in that specific way before, and that was a freestanding handstand push-up.
What was his name?
It's a secret. It's our Norwegian. He's Swedish. Yeah, we can't give away all our. But
Tell me
yeah.
after.
We'll tell you after. It's gonna be good. Heavy deadlift. It's new for everyone, so it's good. What did you want to say?
Tell them I've been waiting for this event for 12 years.
What's event?
This event, the handstand push-up event.
Is this something that you would have loved to have done?
Oh yeah, I've been practicing these, thinking they were going to come to the games for a while. So I'll tell them later.
Yeah, I was so excited when Dave announced the freestanding handstand push-ups.
They finally bring it out. Like, you know, we've been waiting for years for this.
The freestanding handstand push-ups was like way out of left field. That's a circus trick. I've done that. I did like 2 years ago for like one workout for fun, and I haven't done it since.
I think it's really cool when something new comes up, and I really thrive when there's something you have to figure out on the go. I wish they just announced it and we just had to do it right away, because then no one can practice it.
Event 14, the second to last event of the 2021 Noble CrossFit Games. Freestanding handstand push-ups for the first time in CrossFit Games history.
It's a core stability taxing movement, and then you throw a 405-pound deadlift in there for 30 reps.
It was like a variation of Diane, I guess, so like handstand push-ups and deadlifts.
Yeah, I think the deadlifts were at 405, and I'm pretty sure I did no deadlifts to warm up. Shoot.
I could hear that fall.
Okay. There we go.
Tia Toomey has a 216-point lead on Laura Horvath. Kristen Holton currently hangs on to the final spot on the podium, but Annie Thorestad, former two-time champion, is just 5 points back.
My goal going in there, I was like, just gonna fly through the deadlifts, and then I was gonna think about just don't listen to the audience and just think about staying calm and centered throughout.
Uh-oh. Annie Thorestad is out front, and here comes Kristen Holton.
I was just in my zone. I had no idea where the others were.
Annie Thorestad got a no rep because her hand wasn't on the line when she came down. That has allowed Kristen Holta on the right to close the gap, and now Holta dead even with Thorestad.
I had no idea that Holden was so close to me. I thought that she was further back, which is good because then I stayed calm and like went through it properly.
Final rep for Thorestad. She takes a quick break. Still ahead of Holta. Long live the Queen! 14 reps to go for Pat Vellner, the first man to that final set.
And it's the type of movement where the energy doesn't help you, you know? Like, we got near the end, and everybody's yelling, and, you know, that's great when you're about to pull a super heavy lift. It made it, I feel like for both of us, it made it so much harder, and everybody got all hyped out, and then we're getting charged up, and now we can't do it.
5 reps now to go for Pat Vellner, and another no rep for Medeiros.
Vellner just got a no rep
Vellner has got to finish ahead of Medeiros if he wants to shrink the lead, and now a no rep for Medeiros as Vellner continues. He thought he was done. Vellner is done. Vellner will win.
Again, take some points, fleece Justin for a couple more points, but I needed help. There was nobody else, just Justin nipping at my heels.
Holta is in, and they will be tied in points for third going into the final event. Your top two on the leaderboard, the only two men to finish the event inside the time cap. Pat Vellner has one event left to beat Justin Medeiros.
Bada bing, that's how it's done.
I have no idea what just happened. Well, I kept my cool.
That was so good. A way to go when you got that no rep that wasn't a no rep.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
You can't do anything about it.
That was so good. So good.
Oh.
You did what you needed to do, but you can't control other people.
It's the thing, hey? I mean, I can't complain about today's finishes. I'm doing everything I need to. It's no big deal. It's good for him. He's doing great, so I don't want him to, like, I need him to stumble, and I don't really want him to, you know? Like, I think he would need to, like, get hurt to not win, and that's not what he ever wants, so. It is what it is. I should have been better for most of the weekend. That's what happens when you show up on the third day. It's not a bad weekend either. It's a little frustrating because I feel like I certainly, with the events we had, I didn't do everything I could. But the way she goes, sometimes people are better.
What are the emotions going into the final event?
Well, now it's just focus, so I think the emotions are gonna come after. Probably, they're all coming at the same time. Yes, ever. It's gonna be sad, but I'll make it a good one. I cried a little bit before I actually went onto the floor on the last event. Just knowing that it's like the last time that I would feel the adrenaline and feel like the energy from the crowd and have those girls beside me and like feel like we're in this battle, this war together. From we start the CrossFit Games on day one, it's like we're in this battle together. And even though we lost a few soldiers on the way this year, we're all still like a part of it. And just going out there on the last event and being really appreciative of that I'm able to do this.
Not long after the games, Kristen Holta revealed to everyone that it was going to be her final year and that she was retiring. It was kind of the closing of a chapter competitively in the history of the sport for another generation of athletes.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a little bit of a starting of a new era for sure. You know, there's like me and Vellner and Bjorgvin and those guys, and we're not quite done yet. And then there's this new era, younger guys. We've got like the Dukic brothers, we've got Medeiros, we've got Saxon Panchik, and you know, they're right there with us. And it's funny, when I first made the games in 2016, I remember like being excited to compete against Ben Smith and Josh Bridges. There are not many athletes that I think have transcended more than one of those kind of like 5-year periods. You know, like Graham Holmberg was able to do it, I think, a bit. Ben Smith for sure, and Scott Panchik, probably better than anyone, has sort of transitioned really between kind of like 2.5, 3 of these sort of changing of the guards, and has continually been at the top. I mean, he won 2 workouts this weekend.
We also had the retirement of Scott Panchik, and that was kind of a group of athletes that had kind of really cut their teeth as the sport was really, really exploding, 2013, 2014, 2015. And so as they step aside now, there exists some openings for a new batch of athletes, a new era of professional CrossFit Games athletes to step in and really flourish in the spotlight. And I think it was fitting that we got to see that in the form of some of these young athletes that had breakout seasons. You know, Guy Mayeros and Emma Carey and Mal O'Brien showcasing that, hey, even though these athletes, they're stepping aside, the sport is in good hands and we can take it from there.
No, he wasn't thinking about that one.
I know, that's why when it came over, I was like, dude, he's still got a 30-point buffer, and there's like no way on this last event unless he like drops dead. Like, so I was just like, dude, you're fucking robbing me here. Like, it's in absolute terms, like I'll pay you $5,000 in my bonus. Like we can both make more money.
Yeah, they said I got a no rep, but my judge didn't move me back. So then I did when I got to the end, I was on my 13th rep, but I needed one more. So he told me to go back.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. Can't believe it's just one more event.
Did you expect to be where you are right now?
No. I am significantly higher than I expected to be. So maybe I should have gone in with the mindset of being higher, and then maybe I would have shot for even more. But I am very proud of my effort no matter what happens.
I guess I felt good about that Kristen was like more than 100 points back, but I also didn't feel good because Tia was like 200 points ahead. So I was like, I can't really do anything. Like, I'm not gonna lose my second place finish, but I also have no chance catching Tia. So it was like I don't know, not a good feeling. She's just so good, and then she's just like, she gets here and she knows if she doesn't get injured, she's gonna win. And then everyone else is just like competing for second place, which sucks. I guess we just have to like level up to her level.
Tia Toomey has a date with destiny here in the final heat for the women in the very last event, the 15th event of the 2021 Noble CrossFit Games.
And if you're watching, just sit back and enjoy the athlete that is Tia Claire Toomey.
How do you beat Tia Toomey? The answer right now is you don't. You don't beat Tia Toomey. She is so good and has constructed her life to where this is her singular focus.
It's unbelievable where you can look at a field with so much talent, and in many cases you can find an athlete that has obvious strengths and weaknesses. But with Tia Claire Toomey, you cannot look at her and say, oh, she's good here, but she's weak here. That's not the case. She's exceptional here, and she's only very good here. The spread between her strengths and, quote, weaknesses, it's almost non-existent. It's truly remarkable.
So if you want to beat Tia Toomey, that is where you have to start. You cannot part-time this. You have to dedicate your life to it. And then you need to surround yourself with people who are going to make you better, who are going to probably beat you into the ground on a daily basis, who are going to expose your weaknesses all the time. Understand that, okay, I cannot hide from this. I need to make my weaknesses my strength, and I need to be fanatically and maniacally dedicated to being the best. And even that, as good as Tia Toomey is, may not be enough. Tia Toomey has all but wrapped up her 5th straight title of Fittest Woman on Earth. Laura Horvath solidly in second place, but still has a little bit of work to do to stay there. The battle for the final podium spot is going to take place between Annie Thorisdottir and Kristen Holta. Win, you're up there.
In the sport of CrossFit, it takes everything to get to the top. It's taken us 15 events to get here, and we have a Game 7 version between Annie Thorisdottir and Kristen Holta, and it's coming down to this.
A lot of things were going through my head.
now all of a sudden podium was realistic. But I still knew that Holte is really good at chest to bar pull-ups. When I go in there, I'm just like, okay, I'm not gonna focus on Annie or any of the other girls. I'm just gonna focus on me, and like, I wanna have a good experience. I wanna know that I did everything I could, and if she's better than me, that's okay.
600-meter row to start, and then those 90 chest to bar pull-ups.
I mean, after the 600-meter row, everyone got off at the same exact time and started their chest to bar. For 6 bars for pull-ups, you had to do 15 reps at each, and this every time you drop after 15 pull-ups, you like look to your left, look to your right, and see where everyone's at, and just keep trying to like chip away, because you know when you get to that barbell, it's a sprint to the finish.
Justin Medeiros just needs to stay with Patrick Vellner. Doesn't need to win, just don't let Vellner beat you by too much.
That event, I knew Justin had a rip on his hand, and I was like, maybe he has some trouble with the pull-ups. And after about 3 bars, we were nice and tight, and it was clear that that wasn't the case.
Justin Medeiros is no stranger to high-stakes final event.
And I'm like 4 sets of chest to bars in, still going unbroken, and kind of right then I was like, yeah, there's no chance I'm losing this event. And like, I just remember everything that was playing through my mind, just like, stay consistent, stay smooth, like this is your race to lose, like you're in front of Pat, like slow down. And I finished the first set of back rack lunges, and I popped it over my head and went straight into the front rack lunge without dropping the bar, and the whole crowd just got so loud. It was this big adrenaline rush.
And Justin Medeiros got right to it, going unbroken and trying to leave no doubt.
Like, I crossed the second lunge line for front rack, and I dropped it. And I remember just looking to my left and looking to my right, and no one was there. And I was like, dude, I have 30 feet, and I'm the fittest man on earth. Looked up, and then my mom and my dad were standing there. I had no idea that they were going to be right there at the end of the finish line. 2 people that had those seats went and found my parents in the crowd, told them that they wanted my parents to have those seats, and switched seats with them so my parents could have a front row seat to like watching me win CrossFit games.
No surprise here. Tia Toomey first to the 135-pound barbell.
Time I got through to my chest bars, I was already in the lead, so I was like, all right, you know, this is it. You can rest for as long as you want after this.
From relative unknown in 2015 to the greatest ever in 2021. Dominance defined, history made, legacy left for the 5th straight time. Tia Toomey is the fittest woman on earth.
Once I got to the bar ahead of her, I was like, okay, you just need to keep your calm and make sure that you finish this event without like failing on the overhead walking lunges or something.
She's got to stay ahead of Holte. She's doing that right now. That is the battle for 3rd place. The only woman to ever compete in 3 different decades at the CrossFit Games. She's a former 2-time champion, and she's about to put herself back on the podium for the 6th time in her career. Here comes Kristen Holte.
And what a great weekend for Holte.
Yes, I have absolutely worked my ass off this year, and I'm not going to take away anything from myself there, but I did not think that this would be a possibility. It will be amazing to finish off on the podium, but I don't think that would make me any happier. Like 3rd or 4th place or 6th or 7th or 10th, like I want to go out with a good feeling and knowing that I'm giving my absolute best in every single event. at the age of 35, I'm still competitive. I'm a master athlete, but I'm still up there, and I've proven to myself and everyone else that I feel like I'm a complete CrossFit athlete.
Fikowski looking to stay on the podium. Now Vellner is in, and Fikowski looking to earn the bronze medal.
Yeah, I mean the last section of the overhead walking lunge was very hard, and as I got closer, I remembered my sorry. Oh man. You know, you make a lot of I dedicate a lot to this training, right? And then sometimes you're sort of faced with these tough decisions and you don't sort of realize what you've been missing until you're faced with tough decisions, and you know, you kind of want to like just bring something back to just see, you know. So yeah, just to have a little rectangle medal of all things. But a medal nonetheless, just to bring back to show that, you know, you did it for something, even if, you know, not that you do it for that, but it's just like, you know, yeah.
Yes, I won the CrossFit Games twice, and there will nothing top the experience of winning the CrossFit Games for the first time. And then making it back from my back injury was another extremely emotional moment, but I wasn't even planning on being here. I didn't think I could compete, and I podiumed. I have probably had one of the hardest years of my life, but I've also had one of the best years of my life at the same time. So thank you guys, you're freaking amazing. I definitely chose the right sport.
This year, I came here to win. I came here to take first place, and that didn't happen. And then I know I should be happy because I came back. It's like a comeback or whatever, but it's like bittersweet. If you go for first place, you can't be happy with second place, which is still amazing. I am happy, but I am just, yeah, this is not what I wanted.
Yeah, on the one hand, super frustrating, but on the other hand, it's cool to see, and it's fun to be a part of moments like that. So I had a lot of ups and downs, and I had some trouble keeping things between the lines at times. So you know, that's not how you want to win it. I think he definitely had a more consistent performance and earned his title. I wish it wasn't me getting dunked on, but you know, I'm in the poster.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you our new male champion, Justin Medeiros!
Man, I think Medeiros has all the elements to be the next repeat champ. You know, we had the Froning era, we had the Fraser era, and I think Justin is primed for that.
And I don't think there's any words you could say to prepare yourself for that, but just knowing that, it's going to be worth it. And I think that was one of the things that I think about through the whole 2020 and 2021 season. I'm going to put in the work now, and not knowing what the end result's going to be, but I know that end result will be worth it. And just kind of be able to go through the whole weekend not having any regrets and seeing it all pay off, it just fires me up for what's to come.
I think in a lot of ways, 2021 was a real passing of the torch type of year. You know, obviously on the men's side, we had a new champion. He'd been kind of in the wings waiting for the moment, and now he'd arrived. I think also more broadly, 2021 kind of marked a return to business as usual for the games. Where business as usual is pushing the envelope. Business as usual is how do we take this sport to the next level. Business as usual is let's make the test as legitimate as we possibly can be. And that just means we can get back to doing what we do best.
As you take in this moment, what do you want your legacy to be remembered as?
I don't know right now because I'm still trying to create it. Yeah.
We have seen you as a competitor, as a pillar in our community, and also as an inspiration. What does being that kind of role model mean for you?
I think it means everything, you know, anything's possible. I mean, I'm standing here today and showing you guys it's possible.
Tia, will we see you out here on the competition floor again next year?
Absolutely.
Hey, congratulations. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
You don't see an athlete like Tia Toomey in any sport who has this much talent in this many areas. Usually, you know, athletes who transcend their sports, they're just good at that sport. They're just good at basketball, like LeBron James or Michael Jordan. They're just good at hockey, like Wayne Gretzky. But Michael Jordan and LeBron James are not, you know, winning NBA championships and then all of a sudden going and competing in another sport and making it to the Olympics. And that's what Tia is doing. Tia has transcended the sport of fitness. She has elevated the field. She has set a new standard that people now need to shoot for. But then at the same time, she's been able to take that athletic talent that she has, go into a completely different discipline like bobsled, and maybe compete in the Olympics in it. And that's just something that you do not see regardless of the athlete in any sport.
It's worth all that hard work. It really is. At the time you second guess it and you wonder if it really is and you really question a lot of things in your life, but it was worth it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you our most dominant CrossFit athlete of all time, Tia Toomey!
This is my wife.
If this is the final year that Tia Toomey competes, I think we all need to make sure that we take time to appreciate what she has been able to do in her career, but also appreciate what she is going to do during every event that she competes in 2022. You are probably not going to see this level of dominance again in this sport for a while. So make sure that you're paying attention because you're witnessing something extremely special.
Is 2022 her last year?
Trailblazers don't simply tread new ground, though of course they do that. What Trailblazers do is show us that it is possible to do the undoable, that it is possible to see the unseeable, and that it is possible to be the unbelievable. What Trailblazers do is make the first ascent, with all its inherent risk, all its inevitable stumbles, all its requisite exploration. What Trailblazers do is draw better maps. And when they are done, they come down from the mountain knowing the next generation of climbers have already begun their treks. They come down knowing that those who are closer to the base than the peak get to carry in their packs the priceless maps that have been drawn for them with blood and sweat and tears and dark nights and cold mornings and doubt and screams and the deepest of breaths. Like Froning and Fraser before her, Tia Toomey is a trailblazer. She is a course setter, she is a bar raiser, she is a map drawer. She has made it to the peak, and because of that we can now see more clearly what is out there. What summits have not yet been reached, what routes have not yet been forged, what ascents have not yet been mapped. She has made us see that ahead there are mountains and mountains and mountains, and all there is to do is climb.